They told you the story of Persia. Glorious, pure, eternal. But the truth was buried beneath centuries of lies. This is Unmasking Persia, uncovering the lies, reclaiming the truth.
Welcome to Unmasking Persia, a space where we re-examine what has long been presented as unquestionable truth.
Great to be diving into this.
So today, we're looking at sources suggesting that the idea of a single, unified Persia is, well, more of a 20th century thing.
Exactly, a political construction, really.
And it kind of masks a much longer, diverse history, especially our sources focus on the presence of the South Azerbaijani Turks.
A presence that goes back millennia.
Okay, let's unpack this then. If Persia is the shorthand we all know, what was the reality on the ground before that modern idea took hold?
Well, the archaeology is pretty compelling, especially around Urmu Lake. You look at sites like Göy Tepe, Hasanlu,
Right.
Hajji Firuz Tepe. We're seeing continuous settlement, and not just for a few centuries.
How far back are we talking?
We're talking horizons stretching from the 6th millennium BCE right up to the 2nd millennium BCE, uninterrupted.
6th millennium. That really pushes back the clock compared to standard narratives, doesn't it?
Massively. And it's not just that people were there, it's the cultural links.
Okay, like what?
Like bronze plaques they found at Hasanlu. They depict wolves, eagles, symbols that are strikingly similar
Similar to what?
to early Turkic art found thousands of kilometers away much later in the Orkhon and Yenisei basins.
Whoa. So shared symbolism across that vast distance in time.
It suggests a deep cultural connection, yeah, something that predates the commonly accepted timelines of migrations.
And what about language? Does that fit in?
It does seem to. Many place names in the Northwest, Aras, Sabalan, Ormu itself, their origins can't really be explained by Old Persian or Median etymologies.
So not Indo-Iranian roots.
Doesn't look like it. Scholars like Radloff and later Dorfer, they argued this points to an older indigenous Turkic linguistic layer, a substratum.
A substratum, meaning it was there before the Indo-Iranian speakers expanded into the area.
That's the argument, which, again, reframes the whole narrative.
So how does this connect to later groups, like, say, the Seljuks history books often call them invaders?
Well, this perspective changes that. If Turkic groups were already a major presence, and classical sources do mention confederations like the Saka and Massagetay,
Right, in that region.
then the Seljuks weren't really arriving in a totally foreign land. It was more like a reorganization, consolidating power among an existing Turkic population.
Okay, that's a fundamental shift. So let's jump forward. Imperial times. Ilkhanids, Safavids, Qajars. We picture these grand courts. What language were they actually using?
This is maybe the biggest disconnect with the popular image. Our sources are clear. For something like 700 years, the dominant language of the court, the military, the administration was Turkish.
Turkish, not Farsi.
Primarily Turkish, yes. Specifically the South Azerbaijani Turkish variety. Think about Shah Ismail Kaptayev.
The founder of the Safavids.
His famous divan, his poetry, written in Turkish, Nader Afshars' royal decrees, his firmans, issued in Turkish.
And outsiders notice this.
Absolutely. European envoys, people like Shardin Malcolm, they visited the Safavid court in Isfahan, and they explicitly noted that the language spoken at court was, in their words, Turk language.
That's pretty definitive. So it leads to a striking point our sources make. No dynasty actually ruling that territory called itself Persian after the Sassanids fell.
Until the Pahlavis in the 20th century. There's a huge historical gap in that Persian rule narrative.
Which brings us to the 20th century. The big shift. What happened?
Well, you get Reza Shah Pahlavi, and in 1935 there's this instruction to foreign embassies, stop using Persia.
Use Iran instead.
Right, Iran meaning land of the Aryans. It wasn't just cosmetic. Sources frame it as a deliberate racial rebranding.
Inspired by European ideas.
Very much influenced by European ethno-nationalism at the time, an attempt to create this image of a homogeneous Aryan nation.
And to make that stick, you need to change how history is taught, right?
Absolutely. Education was key. The state curricula, you see it in textbooks from the late 1930s like Tam and Dawn Now. They essentially erased the Turkic dynasties or relabeled their contributions as Persian. And then the 1939 education law made Farsi the only language allowed in schools.
The only one. So what happened if kids spoke their mother tongue, like Turkish?
There are documented accounts, even cited by groups like Amnesty International later on, of children being punished, humiliated for speaking Turkish at school. And critically, this is also when the label Azeri starts getting pushed officially. The sources suggest this was a deliberate tactic to kind of disconnect South Azerbaijani Turks from the wider Turkic world, linguistically and historically, to make them seem like a separate, isolated group within Iran.
And this monolingual policy, did it change after the 1979 revolution?
Largely no. Article 15 of the new constitution maintained Farsi's dominance, though it allowed for regional languages and media, just not really in education in a meaningful way.
So for the, 25 million or more South Azerbaijani Turks today, what's the situation?
It means ongoing linguistic stratification, real barriers in education, official life, accessing culture in their own language, though digital platforms are now becoming a huge space for cultural expression and recovery.
So wrapping this up, the Persia, many imagine this sort of monolithic, ancient entity, was really solidified, even maybe designed by 20th century nationalism.
Yeah, painted over a much older, far more diverse reality, especially erasing that long Turkic history.
And you prompted a thought earlier. How did the West play into this? Orientalism.
So yeah, think about influential exhibitions like Arthur Pope's in the 1930s. He showcased magnificent art, much of it from Turkic dynasties like the Safavids, but it was cataloged, promoted, and understood globally simply as Persian art. That helped cement the simplified, inaccurate narrative in the West, didn't it? It kind of validated the nationalist project, unintentionally or not.
Every story has two sides. Here we lift the veil, revealing what history tried to hide. You've been watching Unmasking Persia. Like, share, and help us uncover more.